Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy, so keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.
You speak as though I have conquered death. I live death every day. I am surrounded by it, smothered by it. Look at you now. He would have everlasting life. You seek to defy death, yet you cannot even defy sleep. And our like sleep is to death. It is a painted death.
NOSFERO. Does this word not sound like the death bird culling the living dead at dawn? It is the name both ghouls and demons dare not say, for they know it means death for the undead.
Hard work, dedication, hard work, dedication.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's great to see you. Welcome to Shanth and Jetty Art. I am Shanth and Jetty, and today I am very excited about the guest. We were streaming the other day. We put this thing together, and it's very cool because we're kindred spirits in terms of our love of comics. And as you guys know, in this space, anytime you have an opportunity to talk to somebody who is passionate about comic books, that's something that we're here for. That's something I know I was missing before Comicsgate. Really excited to talk to him about his campaign. And like I said, it's going to be a fun stream. So without further ado, Will Valley in the house. And let's see what is up with him. How you doing, boss?
Will Valley. No one calls me Will Valley. Camel,
Why?
Dr. Camel, President Moon is fine with me.
Here's the thing, man. I have this weird policy. Not that I can't call you Camel when that's what you prefer, but here's my thing. I'm looking at the dude I'm most excited to talk to tonight is the guy who signs your artwork. That's the dude I'm excited about. And I went to look at your artwork and I go, what does he sign his work as? And that was the thing that made it happen, because I'm like, I want to get into the nitty-gritty of the artwork, and I know you've got some great stuff for us here, man. Let's talk boots and heels. Let's talk about, the copper age of comics, where I feel like perhaps we were both born in the copper age. And let me just welcome people in the chat first before we kick things off. We have a member in the chat here. Of course, we've got two members on the stream, but that's a whole nother thing. We've got General Piggy here. We've got Steven Rockwood. How are you doing, my friend? And let me see who else we've got. We've got General Piggy there. And I thought I saw who's our third? I thought I saw our third in here causing a ruckus, but let me just double check and make sure. And of course, to all of you guys in the chat, thank you for being here. We appreciate you, Lord Ravener, Mighty Geek Studios, all of you great guys here. We appreciate it. We're going to be talking about this book. We want to move the needle. Tip my hat, Tugs Web Guy. That's a fantastic resume piece. Jeremy Burtz. Anybody I missed in the chat, it is great to see you guys. So let's talk boots and heels, and in particular, man, the copper age of comics, man. I'm excited.
Let's do it. Lead the way.
All right, man. So so you're a little bit younger than I am. You're not nearly as decrepit, but we both have that overlap in terms of the copper age. Yeah, you're getting there. You're getting there. I didn't say neither one of us are kids. Oh my gosh, the super chat to honor Sean's cough there. There we have it. I will have to play this video because of that. But here's the thing, guys. If you want to see these girls or this gal a little bit more this stream, every backer who puts their number in the chat, who backs the book during this stream, you guys are going to be seeing this young lady who also appears for Super. Charge! Not bad.
Great.
So let's move that needle, man. So, yeah, I just wanted to start off. We talked a little bit yesterday, and you were showing me a lot of cool stuff I can't talk about, which is fine.
Oh, yeah.
But you also showed me have to hold off some of those higher res images you have than I can possibly get on the campaign page. And I know you said you were going to grab a bunch of stuff, but this project goes back a ways. I want to see the deep cuts, man. I want to see the artwork in full resolution and all that stuff and talk about it, man.
So I brought you two of those Hail Salads, actually. Yeah, there were two images from Hail Salad you wanted to show. So I got those for you. And let me also bring up Let's see here.
A question in the chat: where did the title come from?
For Boots and Heels?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Let me bring. Okay, let me share this, and I will share my screen. So, oh, God damn it! It's gonna be one of those nights. All right, let me pull this like this. Let me share this with you. There you go. There's my screen. Boots and Heels was named Boots and Heels because originally they were just stick figures, and the only articles of clothing they had were the boots and the heels that they were wearing and their masks. Mm-hmm. So me and my friend used to draw like a little mini comic back in like 8th grade, and they were just stick figures. And then at some point we added bodies to them, but we just referred to them as Boots and Heels because that's the only article of clothing that they had on them. And then the name just kind of stuck. And, at yada, 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 now that's just what it's called.
Can you zoom in on that center cover for me?
On the center, actually, you know what? Let me do it like this. Open it with preview.
If my wife saw your desktop, I have the same desktop, and she's just "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, babe, this is just how I roll.
So you want to look at this one here?
The one in the middle with the green background. That's the one I want.
Okay.
Oh, sweet, man. This is where I want to see this stuff. I love what is that you're using? Is that the tones in the background? I love that.
Yeah, it's just like, I put like some Zipatone on it when I'm done with it, just to add some kind of shading to it. And I try to create a consistent look. And so I do this for everything, whether it's Boots and Heels or Hail Salad. I'll create a set of rules. And the rules are ways that I'm going to draw and color and ink it, and I don't deviate from it for the entirety of the project. This way, everything is consistent. So the rules for this are different than the rules for Hail Salad. And then for the next project, they'll probably be slightly different. But it's nice because it creates sort of a cohesive look, and nothing really strays too far. And if you're looking for a particular style, like I was trying to go for sort of a early 80s style, on top of my own style, it feels consistent with that genre, I feel.
So when you were picking, that's the thing. When I was looking at this, I got really excited about the stream tonight. I was, grabbing artwork and making images and things for it, because it's such a cool world that you're creating. And I love that era. But what do you, specifically when you're talking about Copper Age comics, what are the ones that stand out to you, and what does that Copper Age mean to you? Because it means something different to different people, depending on what corner you were in.
Before the chat attacks me, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page of what era Copper Age is. Because
there you go.
I don't, like some people want to say it's a different time. So, but for me, I would say like any of the Claremont X-Men stuff, and the Secret Wars. So like when I think about what's going on with Boots and Heels, that's really what I'm pulling from. It's like every issue is its own story, but it's part of a larger thing. So it's like, and this is 12 issues, similar to how Secret Wars was 12 issues. And you could pick up any issue of Secret Wars, and you're going to get like a part of the story. It's going to be its own little, confined kind of thing, but it's part of a much larger, sort of broader story. And that's what's happening here. So, every issue is going to leave on sort of a cliffhanger. But you definitely, it's time travel. So it's like, okay, in this issue, they're in the Old West. In this issue, they're at the, Mayan ruins, or they're in the 21st century, or wherever it is. And those 24 pages, whatever it is, are going to be only in that time period until they move to the next one. So it's very episodic in that sense. It's kind of like a TV show.
It's interesting to me because when you were talking about it, you brought up Secret Wars, which was a huge thing for everybody. I mean, that carried over into action figures and comics, and Secret Wars was the kind of big pop culture event in Marvel at that time, outside of the Image guys coming along. And I guess the thing that's so interesting to me is when I'm looking at this book, what I think of as big during that period was a lot of the indie stuff, like Mirage Comics and Ninja Turtles, 1984, around that time when that stuff was dropping, because it just sort of felt like, even the Rocketeer I would throw into that, and Love and Rockets and that kind of stuff, even though I don't know if that's particularly Copper Age, but that's the stuff I kind of have in my mind when I'm looking at it. And I don't know. I mean, it's interesting when you talk about Secret Wars. What about that was the big influence on this? Was that your formative big influence comics wise, Secret Wars?
No, I mean, like I've said this on other streams. Like when I think of this story in particular, it's what if Batman had joined the X-Men during the Age of Apocalypse, and so it's like, pitch. Yeah, you have these different factions, you have different characters, and they go to a time that is off, and they have to figure out why it's off and and how they can rectify that without changing too much, and losing what they already have established to be what they want to keep in the world that they've created. So because it's time travel, because it's 12 issues, what's cool about it is like there's stuff in the second issue that you're not going to get to till the 10th issue. And so because it's like, oh, I didn't realize how that played in, because they went back and they changed a thing, or something somebody said they might have misheard, and then they figure out what they're actually trying to say, much later on. So it's it rewards, I would say, viewers or readers by helping, like when you can connect the dots as someone who is reading a story, you feel like you're in the story. At least that's how I feel. It's like, oh, I see what's happening. That's why so many people like the Back to the Future movies, because they kind of make you feel smart a little bit, And so I try to do the same thing here, where you feel like, oh, I get it. It clicks. It makes sense. It's like a puzzle. And once you get all those pieces in there, you can sit back and really kind of look at it for what what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, when you say 12 issues, though, just something that I think people should know, because it's a cool part of this. You're getting, when you back this campaign, you're backing issues 0 through 3 right out of that 12-issue story.
Well, technically, it's 13 issues now that I think about it, but yeah.
Yeah. You're getting the first 3 issues with this campaign. And so what was the thing that made you decide to do it as you back this book and you basically get a trip to the comic shop in the best sense? You get 3 books when you back it. What was the thinking?
Yeah, well, cool. If you scroll on the page too, you'll see there's a part where I have 4 of them together. It's these covers in issue 0. And I did that essentially to create the illusion of going to a comic shop. I had a weird epiphany, actually, ironically, just the other day. And I was, someone was posting all of this stuff. I follow a bunch of different Twitter pages, and it was Sears catalogs from like the 80s. And so they had all these toys, right? And I remember what it was like, looking through like the Lego magazine or whatever, and you'd see them and you could imagine what it was like to play with them. And then I thought about, well, that's why eBay is so successful, because it's a catalog, it's a magazine that you can select and say, now I want that. So you get to imagine it and you get to purchase it at the same time. And so that's the feel I wanted to create here, where it's like there's so much stuff that you're like, oh, I like that cover, I like that, and I want that. I want the lunchbox, I want the t-shirt. And so I think if you can reflect that in your campaign, then it gets people excited for the stuff that they can get, especially if you take good pictures of it and such. So that's why I spend a lot of time trying to make sure the graphics look as good as they can, and the art is the best I can muster up at this phase of my career. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite covers, man. I love this one.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's the first time the Claude Agent's on a cover too.
Yeah, and it's just got this aspect to it, because when you talk about this stuff, and I think this is something that gets lost, and thank you guys for being here. We got 25 people watching. Make sure you hit the like, make sure you subscribe, and please do let us know what your backer number is if you back during the stream so we can play a cheerleader for you. But the thing for me when I'm looking at this that's kind of cool is you were talking about all the stuff that you were excited about and looking at those catalogs and the idea of, there wasn't that instant sort of gratification. You'd look at these things and you'd have to see if you could get someone to order it for you. It wasn't like, it was online and you could go to eBay if you missed it. What's the stuff you remember the most, like just pining for when you would go and see those catalogs? Like, what are those formative toys? Because you're also a collector.
The Firehouse.
Yes.
Which I actually have now. Let me see if
that's right. It's in the ivory tower now. There it is.
Yeah. So I have that Firehouse, and then all the X-Men, which I'll show you the X-Men. I have all the X-Men. You can see them all there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I have, these are just like Marvel guys and such. And then I have the Ecto 1A and the other Ecto 1A, and I have Wolverine riding a battle cat.
Well, it's going to happen. Love is love.
So, I think just, it was mostly the stuff that was really expensive that I was like, oh, I'm probably not going to get that, But yeah, I definitely remember really wanting the Firehouse and the Batmobile, but I never got the Batmobile, which sucked. Yeah.
Do you have it now?
I got it years later, but I never got it.
I was going to say, if you don't have the Batmobile, then I don't know what kind of show we're running here.
Because, I know. Now I have it. Now it's fine.
The Batman fan. Yeah. Remember the Heroes World catalog as a kid? I drooled over everything in those pages. I do remember that. And yes, I did too. That's kind of the thing for me, man. Yeah. See, 80s Made is our guy, man. Love 80s Made. One of my favorite channels, man. But it's like that G.I. Joe aircraft carrier or Omega Supreme. That's right, man. And it's
you guys are a little older than I am.
Yeah, that's right. I remember when those stone tablets first broke. But it's kind of funny because I think that when you hear people talk about the X-Men animated series and people talk about that theme song, that's a generation that's just after me. So I think about the X-Men cartoon and I think of Pride of the X-Men, that one pilot that we watched.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Which I hope to God you've seen it, Camel, or else I feel like I don't know you. I feel like you've got all
X-Men.
This is the day. That's right. Yeah, man. It's and that's the thing about it too, is I think that we're looking for, is high heels just heels tripping? That's it.
No, that's heels from a different future. So I can't get too into it, but there's multiple timelines at play.
Well, and this is the thing, right? You're making this stuff, and how does it feel to be on, with the mentality you're approaching this with? Like, it's a strange thing. You asked me why I was using your artist signature name. That is the worst kept secret in the world, but it was, and I was thinking to myself, when I look at the work and I was zooming in, I was expecting to see Camel Moon written on the covers, to be honest with you. And I was sort of, when I saw that, it just made me kind of, I took me aback for a little bit. And I go, well, I guess this is the art. Like, this is the stuff you're signing. And now you're on this other side of it, from pining for all of that stuff to trying to recreate that experience as we do in Comicsgate, where people look at something and go, I can't wait to get this. I can't wait to get a hold of this. It's like going from waiting for Santa Claus to being Santa Claus, so to speak. What was the stuff that was big for you in this? Like, when you were thinking about what backers are going to get, that I'm not going to spoil any other things down the road, but what were the big things you wanted to do?
Oh, well, couple of things. I mean, Boots and Heel, this is the beginning, at least as far as I hope. This is a franchise. It's toys, it's comics, it's cartoons, it's t-shirts. Now, I didn't want to offer any of that right away because no one is familiar with the product yet. I think that would be kind of silly. It worked with Hail Salad because I had the cartoon, so people were interested in the merch right away. And that's why there's merch for Camel Knights, because we've been doing the show for over a year.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't really consider offering merch for Boots and Heels until people became sort of acclimated to the characters and liked the story and such. And you do that by starting with the comic. And so that's the first step. It's, it's the foundation. Make sure that the story works, make sure that the characters work. And, I try to goose it up a little bit by making sure that every single issue, whether it's issue 0, whether it's a special edition, whether it's a regular floppy, is going to have a nice hollow foil cardstock cover to it. And all of the pages are going to be 70-pound glossy. So you have that great experience reading the comic. Yeah, because I think like that definitely, is a part of it. It's just like when I was a kid, and look, I know we're not kids now, but like when I was a kid, my comic collection, that was my money, right? That was my investment. That was my stocks and bonds. And so like I had the Age of Apocalypse with all the chromium covers, and I had all of the kick-ass versions of Nightfall with the variant covers and all that stuff. And they were all in plastic sleeves. And it was like, that was my treasure. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. That's what I tried to do with Hail Salad. We had 7 covers, and every single cover is, the best quality you can get. And I've had people tell me immediately, I wish I bought 2 issues of Hail Salad, because one went right in the top loader. And I couldn't read it. It was too pristine. I wanted to keep it in perfect condition. And that's why I ended up adding a Hail Salad second print tier as an add-on for this. Just so that people would have that as an option to buy. So yeah, I think that's the objective here, is just to make sure that people have really good product that they're excited for and they want to keep in mint condition.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a funny thing too, because it all sort of starts with the stories, it starts with the characters, but when you dream something up like this, when you're younger, there's got to be at least one character, maybe it's a couple, that was the one that came to you and you're like, that's my cool character. Which one is the one you think is the coolest out of this crew, that was like the one that you were like, I need a figure of him or her?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, for X-Thems, they're all parody. I just made them as low-key a joke.
Oh, I didn't mean these guys specifically. The project, yeah.
Well, probably the Claude.
Sorry, I was on the wrong image for.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. The Claude Agent is, like, I don't know. People always give you shit for having, self-inserts, but people don't realize like half of what you like is self-insert. Like Steve Ditko drew Peter Parker to look exactly like him. It was like you could compare the images. They're the same. Bruce Wayne is Bob Kane. George Lucas had Luke as his main character. Like he found a way to put his name in there. So like the Claude Agent for me, I mean, his real name is Bill Valiant. My name is Will Valley. So it's, it's close enough. And
no, real name is Camel Moon. See, this is the problem.
Yeah. And he's Claude Agent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Why didn't you change it to Claude Agent, man? Come on. It would have been.
I should.
That's the funniest thing, right? When we're doing these shows and when we're talking about this stuff, I always look at it from the standpoint of there's more and more new people coming into Comicsgate and coming into our streams. And for those people in the chat, and it will return from time to time. I had the show, The Waffle Lodge, and it was great. It was fun. And then these people started coming in and they were like, or talking to me about it, and they go, so is it waffles? Like, is it? And I'm like, no. Hi, my name is Jonathan Jetty. Yes, we do fun shows and things like that. But what I loved about having you on this show is that I love like talking about the craft. You are, every time you come on my stream, obviously, there's never a moment when you're not at your desk working with the 1,000-yard stare. And that's the dude who I know is prepping for, the Camel Moon, Camel Night shows and all of that different stuff. And so it's a crazy thing to have such, and I do love the Waffle Lodge for life, people. Never forget. But I do have those moments where I think, the drawing, the grind of making comics, which you clearly, much like Brokeback Mountain, don't know how to quit, right? It's like, I wish I knew how to quit comics. You haven't quit it, and you clearly love this thing. And I think that's the thing that's exciting to me about seeing it, because Hail Salad was very much to me a Camel Moon joint. I associate that with, I mean, obviously this is to me Camel Moon Comics, so it's all the same kind of thing in that way. But this is something that kind of predates me knowing you on YouTube, that goes back to the stuff you were crazy passionate about, and it's the stuff that I think always feels the most awkward when, you'll go on Mail-In Show and he'll go, all right, what's your quick pitch? Oh, geez, Julie, I'm sorry to hear that, but not sorry to hear that. Backer number 201, I'm afraid we're going to have to send a cheerleader your way, Julie. Thank you, Julie. There you have it, folks. Thank you, Julie. Awesome.
Wow.
Let me see if I
don't want to say what Julie got, but thank you. Thank you very much, Julie.
I can't speak to it. All I can do is refresh. All I can do is refresh. My goodness. There you have it, friends.
Is it Looney Tunes to try to get to 2,200? No, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Wait, on the stream?
Yeah.
Camel, what are you even talking about? We just go. Is that what you want?
2,200 would be nuts. That'd be nuts. I'll be very happy.
Camel, 3 hours from now, I will be harvesting my crops. Imagine where you will be, and it will be so. Hold the line. Yeah, that's Camel. We came in here to chew bubble gum and kick ass and sell comics, and we're all out of bubble gum. What do you want?
Fine with me.
Let's make it so. Blast this out online, people, because this is the thing, guys. You want this to get to 22K on the street. Is that insane? I don't know. Ask the chat if it's insane. Ask the chat.
Bancroft goes, are you nuts? Are you crazy? Which has become my official catchphrase, apparently, in comics case. So,
yeah. No, we are crazy. That's an affirmative, but you couldn't do this. Guys, this is my favorite thing Ethan ever said at the start of his Comicsgate publishing career with Cyberfrog, is he looked to Andrea. Everything was getting completely, ripped out from under him. And he said, I trust these people. I trust these people. And a lot of you guys like me have been there since the start of that. He goes, I'm just going to do, it's like a trust fall. I'm just going to fall, and I'm going to count on these people to catch me. No, Will is this guy who is overseas that Camel forces to do the work and gets no credit. It's really depressing.
Yeah, it's like Bancroft's wife. No one
Bancroft's wife. It's Mel's other name.
Yeah. Well, not Bancroft's wife.
Upside down.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if
I guess they're both sense. Bancroft, I guess, technically.
Yeah. Oh God. Sorry, Bronze Age kids. You want us both over with that. You want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts. That's right. Name it and claim it. Thank you, Lord Ravener. I know you guys know. Shout out those guys. Blast this out online. Blast this out on social media. When you back this book, just like Julie did, and thank you, Julie. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Make sure you let us know your backer number, because I want this thing to be moving. I'm not here on this stream. I'm not taking time out of Camel's day. He was like, I can't do this, John. I'm too busy. But I said, please, Camel. I begged him. I'm not taking time out of his day to not move this damn campaign. That is not why we are here. We're here to move the needle. That is Comicsgate, point of pride. Period.
I'm just glad I'm not in the ivory tower, because every time I'm in the I can't actually thank people. Yep. I have to hand wave the thank yous. But here I can actually thank people. So thank you very much, Julie. It's very kind.
I will tell you this, Michael. I'm saddened that, and I want him to live long and prosper, as they say, but I'm saddened he's not doing his pie runs anymore. I do want to EFAP the Into the Pie Baron stream, because it's one of my favorite streams with a lot of Comicsgate lore in it. But yeah, the Lucent too. It'll launch eventually. So while it's waiting, back boots and heels, because I think that's the thing, right? You talked about fulfillment, and you talked about fulfilling Hail Salad, and you said you deliberately moved my order to the back of the campaign. I'm sorry, to the back of the campaign, which I was hurt. And
I don't think
you were talking about, as you know, the care. Look, hashtag not all camels, but some. But the thing for me about it is the care of putting this stuff together. If you're a hardcore collector, the thought of these books getting a ding in them on the way there, or not coming how you sent them, does that drive you nuts? That thought, does that keep you up at night?
Sorry, repeat it again. I don't think I heard you right.
As a hardcore collector, when you're packing and fulfilling Hail Salad, does it disturb you on a deep level to imagine it not getting there in one piece? I imagine you take your time and care when you're putting this together.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while, and like I think I just finished wrapping up the N's. So, the R's. So I have the S's and the T's left, and the W's through Z's was one page. I already filled those out. Those are already out. So if you guys are in the W's through Z's, you'll get those. But every order is a la carte. So like it takes a long time to package every one. It's not like I had I don't know 900 orders of 1 or 2 different tiers. It was like every tier had different add-ons that were very user specific. So it takes a long time. But I make sure that they're all packaged the best that they can be, so that nothing moves or jostles or scratches or anything like that. I don't think I've had one guy in Canada who said that one of his figurines got cracked, but that was because customs opened it up and it ruined my marvelous packing job. So I was quite annoyed about that.
The very next backer gets us to 180 on the campaign page. Who is going to be that hero who gets us to 180? I'm just throwing that out there. I want to see it happen. I want to see this thing move, because like for me, this is from my perspective when I'm looking at this stuff, and we've talked shop, we've talked comics. I was not as mainstream as you, which is bizarre because I'm willing to bet $1 million you were growing up in a more cosmopolitan area than the outskirts of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't want to speak for you.
Probably.
I just think it's possible. And
99% chance.
Yeah, and happy birthday, KSSS. And you are a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you for posting the link. This is the thing, right? Yeah, the backer numbers don't ever match. I know they don't.
Yeah,
thank you for being 200, by the way. That's a hell of a thing. But it's the interesting thing about it is I look at this stuff, and Mirage Studios and Mirage Comics were a huge part of my life. So was Silver Wolf, comics like, Grips during the black and white boom, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then comics like Fugitoid that they were putting out. And there was this sense of, even with Ninja Turtles, and maybe it's why I link these things up. These guys read Frank Miller Daredevil comics, and they said, outskirts of Chattanooga. Yeah, by the way, Bronze Age Kid, who I know is a backer, and thank you for backing and supporting all these books, my friend. We appreciate you. The suburb I lived in was called Hickson. No word of a lie. That is absolutely what it was. But the thing for me is that those comic books, and when I was seeing those books, they had Zipatone, Graphics Duo Shade, which looks like Zipatone when it's applied. They had all of this great character to them, this handmade quality to them that was, just to me, it really captured me. And those guys were big Daredevil fans. They were fans of those comics, but they took it and they made something new out of it. It wasn't like they were saying, oh, I'm trying to do, Chris Claremont's X-Men, or I'm trying to do Frank Miller's Daredevil. They went, we're trying to do a comic book that stands on its own feet and is a love letter to those books we all know. And this is a huge audience who grew up on the stuff. These comics were big. And it's that, to me, when you say Claremont and X-Men, if you know what it is, that was a huge period that defined the X-Men, And so I think that's what's so cool about this. That's why I'm excited about it.
I just want to read this role. Ellie,
which one?
What's his name? I'm sorry. Ellie Muniz. Yeah, he had asked, how do you get the Dan Lawless cover? So initially it was a day one exclusive, but you can get it currently either by getting the shoebox tier, which is $250. It comes packed in with all of the other comics that are going to be offered throughout the campaign. So that's a $300 value you can get for $250. Or you can, anything you buy, it should be an add-on on the way out. So if you want to get like there's a $20 issue 0, you can buy that, and then you can get the Dan Lawless cover with it on your way out. So that's the only way to get it right now.
Okay. And there you guys go for anybody interested in what we mean when we say the Dan Lawless cover. I was there. I was fortunate enough to be there when you found out that Dan wasn't just another pretty face.
I was like, holy shit, you're that guy? Yeah.
I know, man. He's the busiest man in Comicsgate, baby. And it's like, so that's a really cool choice. I want to see Dan illustrate everything, obviously. But what was that like? What was that conversation like of producing this cover and working with him on it? It must have been such a surreal moment, to see Dan's.
It was cool, because he was the guy who did all those X-Men cards that me and my friends used to collect. So that was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And we had a long conversation, probably hung out in a back room for 2 or 3 hours. And we went over different sketches and stuff. And that's what he came up with. And I was like, you know what? That's perfect. It had everything it needed to have. It had lasers. Yeah. It had a space gun. It had the moon. You can't really tell. Like, you'll be able to tell maybe if I do a print when you take the logo out, but the Earth is actually behind them, behind the B and the H.
Wow.
It's just an amazing image. And it's always so cool to see other artists do your work because it feels more realistic. It feels like a lived in universe. You're like, yes. People have their interpretations of what these characters look like. And it somehow feels more lived in, more authentic almost. Yeah, it's a very groovy kind of feeling.
Since I have the creator of Boots and Heels on here, who I'm guessing, unless you just deleted it immediately, has the cover without type on it at your disposal in a higher resolution, would it be possible for you to pop up to the Ivory Tower, call down the thunder that is that cover, and share it with us? Because that is there any thought that you have when you have something like that of having it in the gallery section? We got 50 people in here. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's move Boots and Heels. Let me know if I missed anybody's backer number in the chat. Put it in there again, because the chat's moving really fast, and I want to make sure if you've backed Boots and Heels, we get some cheerleaders sent your way. Julie is leading the charge, and thank you, Julie. Backer 200, officially behind the scenes. Much love. Let me get this here. Let me move. We'll remove this for a second.
I have
Jonathan Jetty Art. What's your advice on penciling value? Oh, wow, gosh, you guys hit me with these questions, Dragon Pisces, because that's what I'm learning right now in school, I'm guessing. And yesterday we had a critique, and I got destroyed by the other kids. Okay, here's the key to using value. Pick 3 values, and I want you. It's a middle value, a black value, and a light gray value. And separate your planes, or just even use white as a value, and try to assign them to planes of space, and take a look at everything. And if something's in shadow, make it darker than you think it is when you're drawing from observation. If something is in light, make it lighter than you think it is, and it will make your values better. You won't get that middle value sameness. So that's the biggest rule of thumb. If you're looking at something that's in shadow, make it way darker than you think it is. If you're looking at something in light, make it way brighter. Well, let you call that up. I'm killing time.
No, I know. You know what it is Dan gave me so many different versions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the Photoshop edition, and then I'm going to just pull out the text, because because that's going to be the best resolution anyway. So
deep cuts here, man. Getting the deep cuts.
Yeah. It's fine.
0 to 60 in teaching mode. Yeah, guys, I've got to reactivate that gene when I'm teaching, man. It's people ask me questions all the time, and this is the real thing. The best thing you can do when you're teaching, or you're streaming for that matter, is 1, be passionate about the subject, know your subject, and in addition to that, make sure that you break it down in ways that people can understand simply, because that's how you're going to move things. That's why Malin is all about the give me the quick pitch for this. And you get to watch so many creators completely freeze up, because he knows that is the key. Learning how to sell, learning how to sell comics and sell people on this stream. Holy cow, man. That looks like a damn 80s Star Trek poster. That's awesome.
Yeah. And you could tell where it was cropped, because he had to make it fit in the comic format. But this looks like a hardcover for one of these thick ass novels you'd find at Barnes and Noble or something. And you can see the Earth back here, and you can really get in there and see how high res these guys came out. So he sent this over, and the title, that's where the title went. Also, I'll probably even change out the title for this when the final comic comes out. And if you get the Dan Lawless cover, this will be in hollow foil. It'll I have it. Hold on one second.
Guys, you're getting a comic in comics. And yes, I believe Hail Salad is available as an add-on, but I'll let Camel correct me if it's not the case. And I have to say this, in addition to that, so I think Hail Salad is an add-on. What's up, Eric Weathers? Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, it'll look like this.
Oh, dude, hold on. I got to make it big. Wait.
Yeah.
Let me remove this for a second, and then is there a way to do, I'm going to switch this up. Bang, there we go.
Yeah. So if you can see the hollow foil on that, where I think it's called Magma. And so that is what the Dan Lawless cover print will look like.
Guys, do not
and
miss
it'll be,
this.
perfect bound, because it's 3 issues and it's a volume. So, yeah.
Oh, man.
And then all of the other issues, every other issue will be this kind of hollow foil here.
Oh, man. Guys, are you getting it? It's when you back a comic from Will, the artist known as Camel Moon, when you back a book from him, what I love is the care into the craftsmanship. See, this is the thing, man. You saw these covers when they were coming out, right? And people were saying, I even remember this during the time, they were going, there's all these gimmicky covers. They were cool. We liked them.
I didn't give a shit.
Pure.
Yeah, make it as gimmicky as you want. I thought it was great. I had no problem with it.
Yeah, man. I mean, the glow-in-the-dark Ghost Rider cover was one of my favorite covers I had at that time. Mm-hmm. But I loved some of the Exo Manowar had a great chromium cover. That's why I was so glad that Ethan brought back the chromium cover. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like we've got this right here. I want you guys to just dream with me a little bit. This as a chromium cover. What we're seeing on screen right now, not to mention all the Camel stuff as chromium covers, guys. This stuff takes money. And when you guys, and know you know this because you guys are ride or die with us, but when you guys back these books, that's the only thing that makes it feasible for us to do the next one and the next one and the next one and to make these projects as great as they can be. So let me see some backer numbers in the chat. If you're backing it right now, do make sure I catch that and see that you back it.
I like General Piggy says, spared no expense. Will John Hammond Valley. Yeah, I agree.
That's a better name, I think. Yeah. I remember when you were talking to me before the show, how your first thing you did was a flea circus. And, you would always say, can you see the fleas? And,
you see the fleas, mommy. You see the fleas. Yeah.
And I said to you, that's the thing, though. It's still the flea circus. You can't control it from your ivory tower. I got caught up in the magic of this comic, but it's out now. And,
yeah,
here we are. I'm in the minority that does not like chromium. Jim Cox, you are such a rabble-rouser, but that's why we love you, my friend. That's why I love you. I was laughing because whenever I see, I think you were in the stream, the Pie Baron stream at the same time I was watching it and taking it in, and it's great. Yeah, he's a supreme artist. There you go, man. Ninjak #1 had a great chromium cover. Absolutely right. Loved Ninjak, and then they did an Exo Manowar Zero with the Casada cover too. That was that. We got members in the chat, guys. Thank you for being here. Make sure you hit the like on this because YouTube's getting fishy. And one of the things I'm grateful for is that we made this Comicsgate audience before all of this crazy stuff has started in terms of shadow banning and all of that stuff, because we'll turn out if Shane's campaign is hidden, Inglorious Rex 2 is hidden, we know Comicsgate is going to show up. Yeah, technically chromium and foil are different. Okay, printing press guys, I get it, Michael.
Yeah, the chromium is there's a groove in the line work where it's like embossed almost. Yeah. Whereas the foil covers are just flat. Like they both have the same reflective properties, but the chromium ones almost look like they're stamped with a giant sort of outline of the character on the book. So they're quite nice. I mean, I know EVS does it. I don't know where to get them done like that, but I also know they're quite expensive anyway. So it's okay.
Well, look, this is the thing about it though. We're for the most part, we're one people operation. You're doing a show. You've got a very successful YouTube channel. You're drawing a comic book. You have, your ambitions are, let's be clear. We were talking about, can we get to 22K on a stream? I would say this, the goal in our minds, right? And the goal with this development of this property is, can we get to action figures? Can we get to the show? Can we get to all of that stuff, man? That's the ambition.
I think eventually, that's got to be the end goal is, we want to make sure that this is something that when all 12 issues are done, you know, I can put it in a volume and I can send it to a production house and be like, we want to go to Hulu. We want to go to Netflix. We want to go to Pixar. We want to go, you know, there's a million outlets to turn this into something much bigger than it is. And if it does turn into something big, and I mean, maybe it will, get your fucking first copy, get your first edition now, because this will, you know, if it's a prospector's market, this is the time to get in on it. And let's see if I can sell you on this. We have all 4 issues in a platinum edition.
Hold on a second. Is that on campaign? Let me.
Yeah. Go down.
Hold on. Let me add this to stream and get us there. So all 4 covers. Is that the one right there?
Yeah. So it's that, but if you keep going, further down, it's after that. There it is, right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and no, you passed it. It's above that.
Oh, sorry, this one.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's so it's all 4 issues, and they all have a platinum foil logo, and all of the Boots and Heels masks are going to be in that foil as well. There's only going to be 20 of them, and 5 of them are going with original art. So some of them have already been sold. And the other 15 are being sold outright just like that. They come with a sketch. And 12 of the 15 have already been sold. So if you want that, then there's only 3 left. So this would be the time to get it, because we'll definitely sell out of those. I have no doubt about that. We sold 10 in the first day. So.
And you're selling a lot of original art too, as well. The double page spread sold, right?
Oh yeah, I right here. I don't know if I showed it on your show, but I sold these. I just got ready to sell, or I'm sorry, get ready to mail.
Hold on, I gotta make it big.
Okay,
there you go.
Yeah. So someone bought these 2. This is the cover for the wraparound issue number 0. This was the email exclusive cover, so someone bought those, and the issue number 0. That's not a wraparound. That's, you know, just the basic issue number 0 is still for sale. So if you want that, the only way to get it is going to be to get it through the, you know, the tier there.
So, like, what is your, when you went on Mail-In Show, I don't know if he made you do that elevator pitch, right? That quick pitch. But what is, like, if you, to get people into this world, and when people are seeing it, and I know a lot of people probably heard you make this pitch who are in stream right now, but on the off chance when people are watching this later, and people who might be in the chat who haven't, pitch, like, what's the pitch to the story of this book? Like, what is, I mean, the core, not the, you know, we know there's time travel and all that other stuff, but tell us about these characters, because they're visually, they compel me.
So essentially the story is that in the year 2020, the Earth explodes, and it sends ripples through time to the year 3210, where Boots and Heels are 2 superheroes that, you know, live in that time, and they have to go back and stop it. And they don't know anything about the 21st century. So when they get back there, they go to 4 or 5 years ahead of the destruction to the year 2016. They recruit the Claude agent, who is like the ultimate superhero of New York City at that time, to help them find out how the Earth exploded and how they can stop it. The Claude agent wants nothing to do with him. He's like, he doesn't believe him or anything. Eventually, they find a way to convince him. And then the 3 characters kind of all go on their own path through time, bumping into each other here and there to try to fix it. The old versions meet the young versions meet the old versions. And, you know, it can get a little hectic at times.
That's one of my favorite, you know, descriptions of it, because I've heard you talk about it a bunch, but I love the idea of they go back in time and they're talking to a hero of the day. And the hero of the day is like, I don't want anything to do with you people.
Yeah. There's a great moment. It comes in the next phase, so it's not in this book. But Boots meets the Claude agent, and it's a younger Boots, and he meets an older Claude agent, and he's like, we need your help in the future. And the Claude agent says, I'll agree to help you. And Boots says, why? And he goes, because we've already had this conversation before. And young Boots has no idea what he's talking about. So there's a lot of kind of fun, you know, play in works there to make that all kind of interesting.
Claude Agent is my jam right now. That's my guy right there. That's my
He's
guy.
the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like urban Zorro. You know, he claws a big CA into like wherever he like fights crime, and that's how the cops know he's there, because he claws that in there so that people know he was, you know, the hero of the day.
That is a very cool. That is a very cool story. So it's funny too, because you talk about that. You talk about, you know, the sort of the poison of, you know, oh gosh, Eric, no. Eric, I haven't seen you in a while. You've changed, man. But we have to remedy that, by the way, Eric. We have to remedy that. But this is the thing too, right? When I'm looking at this stuff, is that I think that the biggest thing people are looking for from us. Oh God, you degenerates, you better have backed. Have you guys backed this book? I'm expecting that if I'm gonna be seeing that kind of madness from you. But the thing I think about with this book is a lot of people, how do I word it? The cool stuff they do and the cool stuff they're doing in their comics aren't the things they think to say or talk about, because you've got so many other things you're doing. And I just love that, just that you know, description of the Claude Agent. It's like he's from this time. He's got his head on a swivel, seems kind of like a pulp noir character, you know, like he's, you know, got the Bruce Wayne thing, you know, it's just like he's unflappable. He's like, well, I don't know if you know this, but when I was a kid, right? So he's unflappable in terms of whatever you throw at him. And so he's able to handle Superman. His mind is able to process that and feel, you know, nothing, you know, weird about that. And so just the idea that they're the people seeing their other selves, they're the time travelers, and he's the one who has the best handle on it in that exchange, because he's got his thing down. You know, he's him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No
there's a moment. If you scroll to a little bit higher, you can see.
Yeah, let me do that.
Yeah.
Where are we? Up here?
Go to like what would essentially be, that image right there.
This one. Yep.
No, but that cover.
Oh,
the
this one right here.
Gotcha. Yeah. So like right there in the middle it's not the Claude Agent, that's the Claude Angel. And there's a moment where Boots and Heels meet him, and they don't know why he's an angel, because they're like, well, what does this mean? Does this mean that we failed? Does this mean that there's some alternate future we don't know anything about? And so like there's a lot that unravels as to how these characters get in these certain places. And then it becomes this question of, is this the Back to the Future where you can change the past? Or is it more of 12 Monkeys, where it's like everything's already happened the way it's going to happen? And so as a reader, you get to discover that for yourself and figure out exactly how time travel works, you know, in this storyline. Excellent.
70s made consumer. Now, did you back on this stream? Let us know your number so we can, if you backed on this stream, you got to get some cheerleaders for yourself. So let me know. Let me know if you've backed while we've been
70s
streaming.
Made. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, you know, people are, we got all kinds here. We got all kinds. Yeah. Oh God. It's like, it always, I love 12 Monkeys too. It's funny. My wife is a big Terry Gilliam fan. Her favorite movie is The Fisher King, interestingly enough. And she hasn't seen 12 Monkeys yet. And I was like, honey, you've got to see that movie. It is such a, not to mention I'm lifelong in love with Madeline Stowe. If we can get some ones in the chat for Madeline Stowe, let me know. Love her. She's my gal.
It's definitely fun when you start to think about like, okay, so because they are different ways of doing the time travel thing. And one says you can affect the future, and one says that you can't. Essentially, one suggests that the future is already written. And so there's a lot that it gets played with here, where you know it almost leaves the reader wondering, you know, well, which is it, until you like given more evidence later on in phase 2 and 3 and 4.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, so this is the thing too. Like when I'm hearing your pitch, like it's weird. Whenever you're world building and you're creating something that's expansive like this, and you want to build it out, the hardest thing in the world is, you know, to start with the, you know, in a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. You know, it's like if someone says to you, like, "Oh, what's Lord of the Rings about?" And it's like, well, they got this ring, it's bad, and they got to destroy it. That's it, and they got to walk somewhere to do it. When you hear this story, the thing for me, and maybe this isn't the case, man, but for me, just hearing it from you, it sounds to me like Claude Agent is basically I don't want to say he's your Dorothy in Oz because that would be a weird comparison, but he's kind of the character that you're connected to. You know, to me, like
yeah,
he's your anchor.
I would explain it as this might be it's not a great, no analogy is perfect, but in like the Matrix, right? So there are three major characters. This is true of like all major works of fiction. You have two men and a woman. So in the Matrix, it's Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus. And it's same in Harry Potter, it's same Star Wars. But in specifically in the Matrix, it's really Neo's story, but Neo is brought into the story by Trinity and Morpheus. And up until Neo is there, although the audience isn't aware of it, Trinity and Morpheus have been doing this for a minute by themselves. So that's who Boots and Heels are. Boots and Heels are their own characters, but once the Claude agent gets introduced, it really sort of becomes a center focus on how he's involved with all of this. It never takes away from who Boots and Heels are, and they are definitely major characters the same way Han and Leia are, but Luke is kind of the primary focus in that story.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're so right about this. When people talk about, I've never thought about that before, that occasionally there's a character that comes in. I mean, Wolverine is not the central star of the X-Men, but he is. Yeah,
same with Ghostbusters, right? I mean, the movie is sort of about Peter Venkman. I mean, you might want to say it's a team effort. Same with Ninja Turtles. It's the movie's about Raphael. You might want to say it's about all the other guys, but it's really a Raphael story. And that's kind of the same thing going on here.
It's going to kick off. Guys, I'm sorry. We usually don't get political on this show, and now I've realized we've walked right into it. The Venkman-Raphael, great conundrum there. But it's sort of funny, man. Oh, gosh. I'm hoping one day Shant will be able to tell me what a Lucent is from the future, you mean? It's hey, what's up, Jeremy? My brother from New England. It's good to see you.
Happy birthday, Jeremy. I'm glad you're
happy birthday. Indeed. Yeah, man. We love this kid. Speaking of somebody who, when we talk about you've been in Comicsgate, and like myself, you were bringing the fun to what was going on here by making those incredible videos and bringing your skill set here. And it's kind of amazing because this is sort of that moment where you are launching, Hail Salad in many ways grew organically out of your contributions and your, extensive participation in Comicsgate during those days when we were trying to get that foundation laid. But this is kind of the project that is why Comicsgate is great for you, to get this story out, why this moment is sort of great. And it's always great to see, like when I saw Lord Crackhead 33, Jeremy, the artist formerly known as Lord Crackhead 33, and he's been talking about George R.R. Martin and his love of George R.R. forever. And when this House of Dragons show came out and his channel just blew up and became huge, it was great to see. And I guess I feel a similar thing about you and this campaign, where it's the success of this campaign and how it goes is really important to me in terms of my love of Comicsgate, and because it's your passion for comics distilled down into this story. It's not to say you don't have other ideas, but Claude Agent and the time travel you're describing, you're trying to bring something new to the table that is, made for Comicsgate, man.
Yeah, I hope so. I think every now and then, I wouldn't say CG exclusively, but, you see campaigns, across the board, Kickstarter even, where you're just kind of like, did you have anything you wanted to tell? Was there a story at all, or did you just want to draw a comic book? And I'm personally getting tired of it. I'm just like, I've been working on this since 1996. So it's like the story is there. It's 100% there. I can tell you what happens on every page and every issue, who's saying what. And, there's probably about 4 or 5 different intersecting timelines. I can tell you all of that shit. And it's, I just felt, it was time to do it. I have actually, it will take me a second. If you want to vamp, I have the timeline I can show you. The timeline is the greatest thing ever. It's not on the campaign, and you'll probably only get to find it in like a volumized edition of this one day. But essentially, it's everything about the campaign. Let me see if I can just find it on my desktop here.
Yeah, man. This is the stuff I like to see. When I have people, we got 65 people in here. Make sure you hit like. I was working at Best Buy in 96, man. I love that, Ellie. That's great. Yeah, in 96, God, what was I even doing? In 96, I think, was that the year? I'm trying to remember. I think 95 was the year I met my wife, but I could be wrong. But holy cow.
Okay, here it is.
Yeah,
Take
this is going to be some Christopher Nolan shit. Yeah, right on, Michael Bancroft. It is.
So if anyone wants to know how much time I put into this, this is the timeline of all events and characters over the 13 issues. Actually, technically only 12 of the 13 issues. Okay, go ahead.
To follow up on the Doc Holliday references we've been making, cover your ears, darling.
Yeah, here you go.
Bang. Why is this not like blurred out very small on the campaign homepage? Like, do you understand what I'm saying, Camel? Like,
yeah, maybe it should be, huh?
Have you seen Land of the Lost with Will Ferrell, that movie they made based on the show?
Yeah,
and he goes, he's like, here, man, I've got this bag of fireworks. They might come in handy. He goes, you've been walking around this whole time with a bag of fireworks. I can literally think of a dozen reasons when that would have been useful. And I'm looking at this timeline, and I'm like going, this absolutely.
Well, you know, like, yeah. Awesome one says,
don't hook a racehorse up to a plow, man. You know,
this is it's not on the campaign page because, like, if you truly wanted to take the time, you could put the story together. But like, so every color here is a character, and it's who they are, where they start, and where they go through time in the journey of this storyline. And then, you know, your straight lines here are the times, you know, like the dates. And then up here, this is Prime Zero. Prime Zero is the first timeline before it deviates. And then it deviates in 2015 where it shoots up. And then there's two versions. There's the Multiverse Beta and Multiverse Delta. So yeah, it can get a little intense. But you know, it's very cool.
Here's the problem, man. Let me tell you something, brother. This is why I like to have people and talk to people on these streams, because when you're entertaining, when you're doing, you know, what you're doing on your show, you know, and it's like we know how much goes into shows. We know how much goes into promoting them and the titles and all that stuff. And this is your first rodeo, all this YouTube stuff, right? But this is the thing. It's like you seeing the Garage in A Beautiful Mind and him going, I'm worried people are going to figure this out if they come in here. It's like, no, they're not. One, they're not going to figure this out. But two, they might just get a grasp of the genius involved in this book and the level of thought in it. And this is like, I mean, even not being able to read this is legit. Like, this is, if I had this, it's not going to stop me from reading the story. It's like somebody saying, you know, oh, by the end, you figure out Bruce Willis is dead. Well, if that ruins the movie for you, then the movie is probably not going to work for you anyway.
Yeah, I actually thought, like, and the reason I'd only offer this as a print on like the final volumized edition, maybe like a fold out print or something, is because it's really much more of like a game, because then you could pick a character, you know, in the story, and you can see where they start, and you can like travel around and figure out like, oh yeah, that's right, in this issue they went here, in this issue they met here, and they fought this person here, and they, you know, died here or whatever. And so, yeah, you could do it for almost every character in the story. So it works out that I think it adds more to it. I think especially if you've read the book and then you look at the timeline, then you actually kind of maybe make more sense of the story you saw.
I think, how do I word this? I could be wrong. Ponder this, ponder this thought. But if you don't want to know, you don't have to look at it.
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
Like, I know it's crazy, right? But there's certain things we don't want to Google. You know, there's certain things we don't want to see. But I look at this and I go, if you're the kind of person who is a backer and you're like, what is this? It is just visually so cool. It gives you this visceral experience that, oh my gosh, I'm traveling through time. The thought that someone is going to unravel everything this comic has to offer by looking at this, when you have put this much thought into it and written actual like dialogue, like unless there's dialogue in there, that's not the one That's not what's going to do it for me. And it's cool as fuck, man. That is awesome and crazy that I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, if anything, it'll just convey confidence that I have the story worked out. I'm not crazy.
And that you're a true blue nerd and you care about this stuff. Do you get what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Nothing is just haphazard. There's a lot of like, all right, that only makes sense if this guy did this and that makes, so it all like lines up.
Dude, this is awesome, man. This is one of my favorite things I've seen now in context with that art, because it's like how do I word this? You're seeing the whole thing that like it's going to play out. It's going to have all this stuff, but that makes me even more excited to read it.
Yeah. Like I've been writing it since 96. So, yeah. I mean, it's like, I know the story inside and out, so I'm not worried about like it not making sense. Every so often, once every 2.5 years, I'm like, wait a minute, why does he do that? And then I just check the timeline and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why he does that.
Yep. I mean, come on, man. This is the crazy thing. Like you'll look at somebody, anybody in comics, you look at Ethan, you'll look at anybody who works on stream or talks or does anything in particular that you can watch on video. And you'll go, well, Cyberfrog, that's insane. Look at all that crazy detail in it. And then you watch Ethan draw, and it's not like you're like, oh, now I know how to do it. Well, he's giving it all away. I just watched Ethan draw on stream. You make a blue squiggle, and then you just finish the piece perfectly.
Yeah.
And I look at this, and this is showing your process, guys. Can we, back Camel now, guys. We got to make this stuff happen. There are so many tiers at all different levels, and I will tell you this is a game, when it comes to us, and we're trying to remind people and bring back great entertainment, this is a game of every backer counting. There is not a level you can back at that doesn't help. I think that's the biggest myth people have about this stuff. It's like every dollar counts.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like, well, if I don't get all 4 issues, I'm missing out. I made a $20 tier for issue 0. It's great. It's its own story. It's finite. Like, you don't need to continue it. If you can finish it right there, if you want to continue, you can move on. But for only $20 plus shipping, it's a great way to just have an entry level. And if you like the story, then come back. And if you don't, then it's only $20.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, that's the way you got to do it, man. That's the way you've got to do it. I love seeing this stuff. Look at this, guys.
I think too. What will happen is issue 0 will actually. I'll just say now because it is what's going to happen. Issue 0 won't be available past this campaign. So when we go for next year, if we do a second chance for this or whatever, it'll start at issue 1. So the only way to get issue 0 is going to be during this campaign. So that's again. So if you get issue 0 and you like it, you can wait till second chance and get issues 1, 2, and 3. But once that happens, once second chance starts, if you missed issue 0, you missed issue 0. There's going to be no reprints of that. So,
we don't want to miss issue 0. We don't want to miss this campaign. And like, I'm looking at this, man, and it's so cool to see. Like, again, man, I love you, but I gotta say, I am looking at that timeline, and I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking that could be like such a graphic image to distill what the story is. Like, I see that behind this image of the characters, and I'm like, I get it.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Sure.
It makes total sense, man. And I love, I know it's like, it's interesting, right? Because we were talking about Claude Agent, who's in the lead for my favorite. And I'm going off of that based on, if you miss 0, you'll be a 0. Indeed, Stephen Rockwood, and member of the channel.
Ooh,
don't
be a 0.
This is the thing, guys. All right, I got to say this. Hold on a second. Let me see what I can do here. One sec. Vamp for me, Camel. Vamp. No. Talk to me about Claude Agent, man.
Michael Bancroft says, "Thanks, Camel. I'm stealing that timeline idea." Of course.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Bancroft. I steal everything. I have a giant forehead, and I steal everything. Who am I?
I mean, literally, that's his MO.
You thought he was on the show right now. I know. That's what I thought.
I know. It scares me, man.
Yeah.
It scares me. There you have it. All right, guys. I've got a couple of plans for things I'm going to back, but I just want to let you guys know that I'm moving the needle too on this campaign. I will end up with 2 copies of Zero. That's just how this is going to go, because I want to make sure that this thing is moving.
Did you sign up for the email, Shanth?
I have no idea, man. I can't even. I can't even remember my own name on streams. I told Michael I mispronounced my name on my own stream when I was reading it, and it was the most humiliating and depressing moment of my life. Like, I read it and I was like going, all right, so Shanth, and I just like paused. I was like, did I just read my own name that way? 180 backers because I need to see it happen. Who's with me? Who's going to follow me? Who's going to make it happen, guys? There will be more backing. There will be blood tonight.
Thank you. If you guys got the email, right? So we did an email sign up. You all got an email for the secret tier, and that was to get issue number 0 with the wraparound cover. That's the first image on the campaign, and the only way to get it is through that email. It also comes with about 4 to 8 pages of pinups in the back, and it'll be hollow foil like everything else.
Dude, this book is going to be a big investment in terms of what you're putting into it. So, I mean, guys, back this campaign, because we can't do this stuff without you guys. We can't make these cool comics. If you guys want to see that better pop culture, and you guys have been backing a lot of campaigns lately, we know this. But this is, this book and the thought that goes into it, as we just saw. I'm going to share it again because I have to show this to people. This is what you're getting with us. You're getting the people that you used to talk to in the comic shops, the real fans. And I think about when you see people like Anna, that Star Wars girl, start talking about the expanded universe in Star Wars, and you go, oh, crap, this person's better not start a conversation with her if you're not ready. But you have the opportunity to back this book, and also, yes, catch up tiers indeed. But you have the ability to get a hold of Hail Salad if you haven't got it, which I've backed Hail Salad. I don't remember about like what I backed on it, but with this campaign, I'm backing big because when I get my next backing of this, because I'm going to back it a few times, the thing I'm most excited about is seeing this timeline play out. And you're getting, with 13 issues, including the 0 issue, but 12 issues starting from the proper, number 1 issue, you're going to be able to get, this entire story. This timeline you're seeing right now is going to make sense. And that's what it is. Brian Norton wants to know, do you ship to Japan?
Yeah, sure.
We do, Brian. Brian, if you back the book right now, let us know your backer number so that we can get the cheerleaders happening. And great to see you, Brian. Hello to you, man.
Hello,
great
Brian.
to have you here. Yeah, guys, let's move this thing. Please, sorry. There you go. I'm not sure what that was. Make that big. This one.
Make this big? I can zoom in. You can.
Holy cow! Is that what you were talking about, Sir Angus Fungus? Let me know.
Yeah,
Hopefully
it's so funny. Like, I've been working on it so long, and I kind of forgot about all this stuff. Like, yeah, I probably should have put it on the campaign. Maybe I still will. Maybe.
Yeah, it's not like it's over. You can still do it.
Yeah, it's not like people are gonna like read this and not buy the comic. So,
yeah. Here's the thing, guys, and won't spoil it though. I will say this: I don't know if you've noticed this, but there is a sign in the bathroom in every restaurant that says "All employees must wash hands," and it hasn't stopped it yet. We're still doing it, and I got to tell you, man, I really think, spoilers, Camel, spoilers. I actually think this is going to get your nerdiest, most hardcore fans involved in this, because people are starved for comics with that level of thought in it. And again, at this level, I'm looking at it on my screen. If it was just a background graphic, it's just like, taking it out and putting it on the table, as far as I'm concerned, narratively. It's saying this is what you're getting into when you back this book, man. You already know the earth blows up.
Yeah, that's like page 1. That's right away. Yeah.
Yeah, what if Camel did figure out how time really works? I believe it 100%, guys. I believe it 100%. Yeah, back Boots and Heels 0 through 3. And let us know your backer numbers. I know someone in the chat said they had backed it, but I wasn't sure. And Brian Norton, I know, was asking if it ships to Japan, which is the biggest thing. Yeah, reminds me of the Primer timeline. Nicely said. No.
Oh, yeah. Have you guys ever seen Primer? Have you seen Primer, Shan?
No, I haven't yet. No.
That if that is that is the hardest to follow time travel movie ever made. It's like kind of
Now I'm
brilliant,
interested.
but
Mhm.
and you can and I've watched it probably about 4 or 5 times. You can follow it narratively right up until a point, and then
Mhm.
it deviates so strong because all of these branches go out of people coming from the future changing
Yeah.
things, and it actually becomes very difficult to keep up with. I've had to watch YouTube videos on like that explains it, and it makes sense. It's
Mhm.
just it you need a timeline for it. You need something just like this that explains what's going on, and that's it's fun once you understand it. Well, if you don't
Yeah.
understand it, it can become a little bit difficult, but it's still a fun time
Lots of
any
love for it.
regardless.
Well, I mean, and so you were talking about like the stuff that you respond to in terms of the comics you like in the Copper Age, and but I look at this and I think this is the stuff that's not. This is the stuff that is you. It's like the Daredevil is great, but without the big mutant craze and mutant boom of that time period of comics, you're not going to get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You're not going
Sure.
to get
Yeah.
that. It depended on that time, so it wasn't just a looking back; it was looking at what's contemporary. This to me is this is a highly sophisticated look. It is one of the most complicated ways, but in a way to where you can trust the author that they know what they're doing. To go and explore this stuff, man. I mean, I'm liking the characters, but when I saw that, that's the best selling point I think I've seen for any book.
Oh,
It's
the
fantastic.
timeline thing?
God, yeah, man. Look at this stuff, right? I mean, that's sick, dude. That looks like, if the tax code was fun.
That's funny. Yeah,
No,
it's the
it's like
colors. It's all the colors, you know?
well, you know what? It's funny is because they make these timelines, right, for the Star Wars sequel trilogy and for all the
Yeah.
new Star Trek stuff. And you look at it, you go, "Oh, cool. So, what point in the timeline did you kill my soul?" This is not what that is.
Oh,
This is a
yeah.
timeline that's pre-thought out, man. I love it, man. It's great.
Yeah, I just at one point I just had to do it for my own sanity, so I had something to reference to make
Yeah.
sure I wasn't, having 2 or 3 boots in one issue that didn't know who each other were, and I was like, well, that's a little
Yes,
much. So, yeah.
dude, that is sick, man. I love seeing that stuff, and it just because it's a time travel story. It's like now you got to hide it, man.
No, I'll just bring this
time.
up because it's something else to look
Oh
at.
yeah. Let's get that on here. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love your attention to craft and making these books. Yeah, it got big because of the ooze. You're right, man. That's the key. That is the key. Yeah, can you zoom in on some of those too? Because I mean, you've got them on your campaign, but I love seeing the way that you make marks on that stuff because it's like such a throwback to all that stuff that I love. I love the angel aspect of that now. Claude Angel, that's got to be one of my new favorite wrinkles in this. That is awesome.
Yeah, well, it's hard to tell on a screen, but
Mhm.
all of the issues, all of the exterior and the interior art, they all have this sort of grain that I put on it, and that's to kind of make it look like a Saturday morning cartoon. So you kind of and it's kind of hard to tell unless you saw the flat next to it, but like they all have kind of a glow as well, so it looks like it's kind of coming off of a TV screen. And
Yeah,
every single panel in the book is like that as well. So I think it hopefully gives, it's nostalgic. It's not the way comic books were printed, but it somehow seems to fill the void of being, reminiscent of a bygone era, but also being current at the same time because it wasn't a technique they could apply to print back then.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've got this. You couldn't dream. I remember I printed comics when I was a kid. When I was 16, I went to a print shop to print a black and white interior color comic. And I was asking them what it would cost. And you just couldn't imagine how expensive it was. The stuff we're doing now is only possible because of the tech increase and the cost going down, to something that's not insane. It's still expensive, but it's not impossible. And you put a lot of the backers' money when people back your campaigns to making the quality of the physical product next level, man. And I love that, man. It's so great to see. This stuff is fantastic, man.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you try to make it as appealing as you want it to be. There's always going to be guys in CG that hit six figures in one day. But it doesn't mean that, we're not trying to get there, or even, like create a product that we think is just as fun and exciting. So, it's it can be a little bit of an uphill battle sometimes, but that's, kind of par for the course. And you just gotta keep chugging along and get the product out. So
excellent, Brian. You go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead and do that. And let me say this too. We were talking about this after the stream, and I think one of the biggest things about it is that we learn every single time we do a stream, every single time we're showing our work, we learn how to sell it better. And there was this, there's this thing that I read on stream. It was, and it's a great clip on my channel. If you haven't seen it yet, any of you guys, it's totally worth a look. But it was this guy who did this Twitter thread that was really smart, great common sense stuff, which was how to get rich without getting lucky. And it was just some of the best business stuff you wish people would just say more often. One of the things he said was that learn how to create, which you have no problem doing at all. And then the next step most people struggle with is learn how to sell, and you'll be unstoppable. And the trick that people don't realize is, or I should say that people who are in the mainstream don't realize about us, is we don't have a marketing department. We've got the fans, we've got our fellow creators, but there's nobody else doing this job but us. And what's crazy is when you're doing your show, and I know how much goes into the show I do, and I'm imagining yours is that probably times 25, is that we're not always aware of the things that we're doing that people will respond to. And it always cracks me up. Like when I have a conversation, I remember I had Eric Weathers on this channel, and I said to Eric, I was like, "Oh, did you draw comics when you were a kid?" He's like, "Weird. I didn't get into drawing comics by drawing them. I would take other comics that we bought that weren't expensive, and I would cut out the panels, and I would write my own stories by cutting panels from comics and putting them together." And it blew my mind to know that how his mind worked and how he was writing stories that way. I'd never heard anybody say that before. And when I saw that timeline, it's a similar thing for me, because I imagine all of that stuff's going on, but that is visually great to see you, Perth Comics, Voyager 47. Great to see you. Yeah, join the Ivory Tower, guys. Back this book, and let us know your number if you back, guys. Right now, the campaign is at, let me just make sure it's there. It is at 21,525, 180 backers. Guys, we are less than $500 away from getting this to 22. And you guys are making that happen. So let's get the word out and let's continue to back this campaign. Hey, what's up, Bordeaux? Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Look at all you fine people. But I mean, it's such a beautifully crafted book. Like everything you do with your show, like everything you do, like you're a fellow collector. You love action figures. You love Batman and all of that kind of stuff, just like I did, and it's that sort of sensibility and that joy for making, these things is in this book, dude. I love it, man.
I'm thinking about like when I did Hail Salad, I think Boots and Heels has been a little bit of a tougher sell. And I think that's partially because it's a new IP. And, the interiors specifically are very sort of classic. And so like, if you're looking for really modern house style stuff, like that's just, you're not going to find that here. On top of, it's, I would say at least $75 to get it's really not that much. You could actually get less if you have the Dan Lawless trade to get the whole story, but it's just because there's so much story. Like, so a lot of times, because originally it was like, all right, so I have 12 issues here. So how am I going to break this up? And I didn't want to do 6 and 6 because then I essentially wouldn't have made any money. So I was like, I had to break it up into a format that was going to be, acceptable for print. And then also, like have a good dollar amount attached to it. And it's definitely, I'm kind of the canary in the coal mine when it comes to figuring out how to sell 3 to 4 issues in one go versus doing it over months and months and months. So it's, it's kind of a learning experience. But this is what it is. So for better or worse.
I was looking at it this earlier today, and I made this kind of like this faux ad the other night, because when I'm talking about books, like I really care about this stuff, and I love comics. And I thought about, like, I was trying to. I've talked to a lot of people about this, but my way of explaining how I react to things and respond to things is to just make a visual, oftentimes in Photoshop, or I'll put stuff together. And I made this today because I was looking at it and I was going, like, this to me is the joy of opening a comic book. Like, I took a page of the artwork and had it folded over, and I was going, this is the stuff. Like, when I would look at books as a kid, and I would go, you know, the Zipatone and all of that great stuff that you would see, or the print, and you could see that 4-color. And I was thinking about, like, you know, just how I experienced these things. You know, you turn the page, you would see the great stuff. Yeah. And you would see all of that artwork, and just loving. I love your logo, man. Your logo is awesome. But just looking at all of this stuff, when I get into work, when I see artwork that speaks to me, that's just where I'm at. Like, that's just how I respond to it, you know, and just thinking about the way, you know, I don't know if you remember this. Well, you probably do. How the saturated comics, when they hit the saturated colors, when they hit the newsprint, what it would do to them, how it would shift them just a little bit more into a middle tone. And I was like going, this is the stuff, and your black and white stuff is killer, but this is the stuff that I do when I'm excited about a project. And it's the same thing with when I was making the image for the title card today. I feel like, and Eric, great to see you in the chat, brother. Guys, if you've backed, let us know your backer number, man. That's the stuff I'm so excited to see. And thank you for being here, guys. Let me see if I can share this right quick. This was the thing I made when I was putting together the thumbnail for the stream today. And I was, I moved your stuff over, man, to black and white, I was like, wow, it holds up in black and white. Like, this right here is everything I loved about comics when I was a kid, dude. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's gonna look nice when it's done. You know, I'm very excited. And the 3 issues or technically 4 issues. It's, you know, it's its own little mini arc. So yeah, you're gonna get, like, you know, it's somewhat of a full story from that too. So, you know, it still leaves on a cliffhanger because it's part of a larger story, but it's it definitely feels complete in some regard. Like, you're not going to be totally left in the wind wondering, you know, about what's happening immediately after. So
yeah, without a doubt, man. And I just think that what people need to remember when you're looking at this campaign is you are getting a lot of comic book with this. Each issue is how many pages again?
Between 20 and 28.
Okay, so you're getting 28, and if you back 0 through 0 through 3.
Yeah, I think it's about 100 pages on average for the whole thing. Plus all of the covers, the pinups, and then in 2 weeks we're going to start the contest. And so the art contest.
Yeah, talk to them about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for anyone who wants to enter, and it has to be full colors. And I'll put the specs out, you know. And essentially, it's for a cover. So you'll win the cover for the second print that we'll do probably next March, and you'll win $1,500 on top of that. So that's not a small chunk of change. And then 20 issues. I'm sorry, not 20 issues. I would say on average about 20 of the other pieces of art that are not winners will become part of the pinup gallery in the back of the same book. So it'll be a nice prestige format edition that will come out. I'm thinking sometime in maybe April of next year. Well, at least that's when we'll start the campaign. It won't be printed for a while, but yeah. But so yeah, and the I would say you could draw whatever you want as long as the characters, you know, are from the, you know, Boots and Heels. If you want to win the cover, you probably have a better chance of drawing Boots, Heels, and the Clawed Agent. But that doesn't mean, like, if you want to draw the Comic Skaters or the X-Them or whatever, all of them, you know, whatever it is, you know, obviously, you know, submit whatever you think your best work is.
Yeah, I mean, and thank you for subbing the channel. I will say this too. You've got the turnarounds, guys. Do not forget, you've got these great turnarounds here for reference for anything you draw for this contest. So you really can get this thing right. I got to tell you, in the lead for me right now is Clawed Agent. Like when I think about doing an illustration of a character, that's definitely the one.
Oh, you're speaking my language. I got to see what that looks like.
Dude,
yeah,
it's
Agent.
The shadow. It's everything, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'll probably add some more turnarounds. Maybe the comic skater and maybe another 2 villains or something like that. The She Agent, people like the She Agent. So I'll probably add those guys, in the next month or so, or next couple weeks.
Oh man, yeah. This is Eric. You can't draw the golf cart. Although I keep waiting. I'm telling you this, guys. I am absolutely waiting for some baller to roll up and back that golf cart just to flex, like just as a mega flex. Just going, I backed the golf cart.
Well, yeah, maybe one day that would be nice.
It's got to happen, man. Yeah, it's got to happen. And what's the prize for it?
You get to win a. Well, you don't really win anything, but you get a sticker.
There you go. Boom.
Isn't that nice?
There
Also,
it is.
Look at this.
Yep.
We were, me and my wife were out shopping the other day, and so we're getting ready. I've just got to make sure that everyone is, contributing and doing their fair share so that we could get the golf cart This is the one we're looking at. This is let's see, is it this way?
I can't.
Okay,
I'm
this
amazed
is without
to see you
me.
in the golf cart store.
We're gonna go with the champagne color.
That's right.
Here's me excited. And here's that's my wife. Look at
that. That's like, and that's my social security number.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, listen, man. I'm going to be talking a lot more about this book on this channel because I'm really excited about it. See, there he is. Shave is going to be backing the golf cart, just waiting for the money for my lawsuit.
Good. I hope that
there might be a lot of people in on that suit. You don't get to win anything. That's right.
Sorry. I get to win. That's people are like,
that's right.
Where are your stretch goals? The stretch goals are for me, not for you. So
that's exactly right, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely got some ideas percolating on this. I'll have to run some stuff by you, man. But just in terms of in terms of close for this, like, what is the big takeaway you want people to have when they look at this book? We know it's going to be quality. That timeline, man. I need to be hearing more about that, man. But what are the big takeaways you want people to have?
The whole point is I always wanted it to feel like a Saturday morning cartoon. And you're going to definitely get that, especially in 2 weeks when we reveal the trailer. I think people are going to really get blown away by that. So in 2 weeks I think it'll be my channel. It'll be a Sunday, when we do the 30-day closeout revamp thing. Yeah. We're going to have 2 new tiers that are going to be announced that day as specials. I'm not even going to hint at what they are, but they're awesome. And they're not new covers. It's actual new merch. And we're going to have the trailer, and we're going to start the art contest. And we're going to officially, set it off, with some graphics and, descriptors and such. So it'll be a big day. And I would say that don't feel if you want to back that you need to wait for then, because none of this stuff is coming down then. And that stuff will be available as well on top of this stuff here. So if you want to get what's here, then go ahead and get it. It's fine. Yeah,
absolutely, guys. And like I said, we're right now, what we're doing with all of this stuff, we're battling to get eyes in front of this work. And when there are great projects like this coming along, you want to make sure that you're backing it. But also, one of the biggest things you guys do is to share this link out and share out, the Indiegogo as much as possible and talk about it. Talk about it in terms of like what this is, because that helps us. That helps us to kind of articulate our message and what we're doing, man. But yeah, man, thank you, dude. Seriously, thank you for coming on here and talking about this project. I'm going to be talking about it a lot more on my channel now, because I feel like there's so much more that I'm learning about this project just in the course of this stream, and it's crazy.
It's about, we talked about it briefly last night when we were talking about Hail Salad. It's about seeing past the finish goal. It's like we had talked about where is it? I think it was this image here.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I wanted you to share that. Yeah, there's images. If you've got them, I want to share those.
So this is the back page of the Hail Salad book. And it's just kind of a joke. It's like, what if they were action figures? So we have the Castle Troll Skull, and these are all the little toys. But, I drew it as though this was actually a, like a clamshell action playset. I worked at Hasbro for a little while. And so, like, this was part of the design, was like coming up with, like workable schematics. And so, like, I kind of have a little bit of a background in that. And I just, that's always where my mind is at. It's like, how is this a greater IP outside of just the story? And, it's like I take a lot of pride and thoughtfulness with the story. But past that, it's like, how can we make this applicable to other types of mediums, whether it's toys or video games or, what have you? So.
Oh, man. And that's something I wanted to make sure I asked you tonight, too. So if you got a minute, do you have time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You're like, yeah, I'm just making sure. Like, the missus isn't waiting offside going, all right, wrap this up, man. So we talked about action figures. When you picture these characters as action figures, I know you're like myself, quite particular about it. What are the figures you picture? How many points of articulation? Like, what is the world that you're thinking in terms of this?
Hail Salad or Boots and Heels?
Boots and Heels in particular. But both, I want to hear.
So kind of both the same. I always was more of a 5-inch kind of guy. I thought 3 3/4 was too small. And I like that they're a little bit like bigger, chunkier. And so, I would go with bigger. You're
totally going to clip that, Camel.
Yeah. I don't particularly care if they have knee or elbow joints. So I would just say 5 points is fine. I also don't really care if they have action accessories. Like, just having a sword is fine. It doesn't need to shoot anything. I always get worried that the springs are going to break. But I would like, if you squeeze the Claude Agent's legs together, that he would go like this, like he was cutting something up.
Sake, yeah, man.
Yeah, like I thought that would be kind of cool. And there are some really big vehicles that you see in much later issues of Boots and Heels that I designed to be toys. And they're like really big wheels, and they have like tiny little canopies on them. And so it's you always kind of have that in mind, especially with Hail Salad. Like, I mean, I built this, but when I do Hail Salad 2, the back page is going to be of the spaceship and how that unfolds into a giant like toy action playset. So, you always kind of low-key have things in mind. Like, even the spaceship in Hail Salad has this hook on it, and I designed that as a handle so that you could fly it around, and not, whether it, I'll probably be long dead by the time any of that ever happens. But, you just want to make sure that it, you're setting it up for the next guy. That's fine.
Man, see, that's the thing too, right? So when you were talking about Secret Wars, of course, my big connection to Secret Wars was I read it much later because I couldn't really get a hold of those comics at the time. But I was in toy stores, and I remember those Secret Wars action figures. And for me, one of the coolest action figures to this day is that Wolverine from the Secret Wars set. I love that figure. And I don't need more articulation on it. I think it was a beautiful, elegant stuff. And I'm glad that they're doing more of that stuff now. And what was great is I backed, I don't know if I have them where I can grab them yet, but I backed PTP's, there you go. I backed PTP's, action figure, or two of his action figures. And I loved how well his mentality with action figures worked. And I also think that when I see Ethan Cyberfrog figures, those work for Cyberfrog. And I don't think everything has to be crazy, mad, articulated. Do you know what I mean? Because not every property.
I agree too. Yeah.
I mean, it's I get so annoyed because one of the things I see going on in action figures, and I'm a total, big bad toy store addict. Yeah, they are great. I've gotten 2 of them, and they're fantastic. You've got 3 excellent guys. Yeah, the Superpowers figures, when I was a kid, I really dug those a lot. I loved the Superman Superpowers figures, but 5 points of articulation was, the new retro lines are great that they're doing right now. So they're catching on to what the independent toy makers are doing. But, the limits that we have on us that have now, become less of an obstacle when it comes to making comics are starting to move into toys in a major way. And I think it's going to be faster and faster every single year. And I think that the problem that we're trying to solve with comics and everything else is, how do we get people psyched about these projects? How do we get people wanting to open these books and look at them? The toy problem is the exact same thing. And it's weird when every conversation you see people having is sort of like that moment in Big when he goes, I don't get it. It's a skyscraper that turns into a robot.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying a little bit earlier. It's like, there are some guys who can do 6 figures in one day, and it can be a little bit of an uphill battle. And I recognize that, with Hail Salad, I kind of was able to get my foot in the door because people had seen the cartoon before. With Boots and Heels, it's like, it's a completely new IP. And, so it's something that you need to adjust to. And I think that, I'm sort of asking anyone who's on the fence to take a leap of faith and be like, you know what, I'm going to try it. I think it's worth it. Or I'm worried that maybe it's outside of my wheelhouse, but I'm going to try it anyway. Like a bottle of wine you might not normally drink or something. But I promise you're going to love it. And I think, especially with the Hail Salad book, there was a year where people didn't even see the interior art. They didn't even know that I could draw. And now, Well Read and Aldous and Finatra, they're all giving it great reviews because they read it and they're like, oh shit, Camel actually knows what he's doing. So that's all I would say. If you're on the fence, trust me, this isn't my first rodeo. You're going to like it. You're going to love it.
Also, and I agree with that 100%, man. But I'm going to add one other little wrinkle to this project. This is a much richer project than Hail Salad. This is a much richer project. And I think that there's, how do I word it? It's you're evolving your process of selling this to people, because the richness of the world, like every now and again when you bust out that the timeline map, it's not Hail Salad. Like Hail Salad is still you, and it's this concept. It's like, it's the love of Comicsgate, it's the love of that lore, but the lore for this is deeper, and it didn't happen on YouTube. It happened in your pages. It's in the book.
I came up with the Hail Salad comic book a day before I started writing it, so I was just like, all right, let's figure out what the story is going to be here. And that turned out pretty damn good. So, this is something I've been working on for 26 years. So I can promise you the story is a little bit more fleshed out.
Oh, absolutely. And I, like I said, I think I'm going to make this a project of mine. I think getting out the how do I word it? Getting out the pitch and refining the pitch for this thing, because it's, what this thing is, but like anything you've spent that much time on, and that like the back of your hand, there's certain things that it's just natural you're going to take for granted. And it's like those anchors that help you to understand it. Like, this is the timeline, this is what's going to happen. Like, this is it. And wow, like that's really exciting for that. How do I put this? There's a very particular kind of audience that, funny enough, I think you and Michael Bancroft both share, which loves the joy of the search for information, for details. When you were describing to me, you get to this issue, and then something that happens in this issue is going to be revealed of what it was. I think it was, you said, what was it? You gave me 2 specific issues that you had in your mind.
Oh, I was just making them up. But yeah, I said like 2 and 10. I don't know what it is actually in the story. It's probably like 2 and 7 or 2 and 8 or something, but whatever.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that that all trailers and all promotional material and all the stuff I want to put out about this, when I'm promoting it on my channel, which is going to be a thing, Camel. It's going to happen. I want to make sure people realize it's like, it was the same. Okay. It was the same thing when I was looking at John's trailer, right? When I did a cut of John's trailer, the first thing I did was I looked at it and I was adjusting the type and the fonts, because I was like, how do we not have the Graveyard Shift logo all over this trailer? And I'm excited about this. I love Coach. I love the stuff he's doing. And John just is one of those guys that just is doing cool stuff. And my joy of doing whether it's the Comicsgate King, show opener, but also the individual videos I make for people, the joy of doing that stuff is helping people, to see what's so cool about the folks that I'm looking at. And and when I saw that trailer, I go, oh, I didn't know his wife was killed in front of him, and that was, like this almost Saw-esque opening. And I went in, and I want to show you guys this real quick, just so you can see what did I say? Wow, Shanth, I did. Hell, I went and I did all the GIF of all the quotes coming into it because he said he wanted to do that, and it was a fun way to do it. But I want to show you this. It's a little terrifying, but it's late. It's 12:16. But I want to show this trailer right here real quick, just so you guys get a sense of the kind of things I do when I'm thinking about this stuff. So brace yourselves. It's a little bit gory, but here you are.
Don't do this. Just let it go.
Guys in the chat who are saying your comments were left off, if you get me those comments, I will put them in the King's trailer. And I actually contacted somebody who said, mine wasn't in there. And I said, what was it? He goes, I can't remember. I'm kidding. It's like, I'll put it in there. But here's the thing. The Omega Storm logo was something I just threw together for that trailer at the last minute because I want people to see it, getting the Graveyard Shift logo in there. All of that stuff was a big thing for me. And I'm looking at this timeline, and I'm looking at these characters, and if I'm cutting together, a trailer at some point for this, or I'm messing with the images, I'm grabbing not totally in focus, not revealing everything, but I just see these characters, and I see that sort of pan over that timeline of where things are happening. I mean, It's such a great iconic image, and I think this is, thank you guys, I appreciate it. All right, absolutely. Go troll him if you've got to, my friend. But that's the thing about it. Your love of all of this stuff and this project is different. In a lot of ways, maybe that's why I was why in my mind I think of this as being a Will Valley project for Camel Moon Comics, and Hail Salad feels very much like, Mobius had his different names that he worked under. Jean, yeah, exactly. And I just, there's something about this that is it's fundamentally different, and it's not it's a lore, it's a universe, it's a story, it's Camel, I mean, everything you do is going to have that. So, and Hail Salad is that, but this is a step up in terms of genre and complexity that you're doing here that I don't know if everybody fully grasps.
It's almost impossible to convey. We can explain it, we can try to explain it, I can try to say oh, it works like this, until you have it in hand. I can reference other comics or whatever, but until you are sitting through it, reading it, and you're however many issues in, it's going to be really hard to, you need to see for yourself. It's just, it's almost like, imagine trying in 1981, explaining what was it? When did Secret Wars come out? 84, 85? Just trying to explain it. no, it's amazing. It's 12 issues. It's this perfect story. It's maybe the best story ever told in comics. People will be like, yeah, okay, maybe, you know, like, I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's great, whatever. I don't know. But like, yeah, but when you're reading Secret Wars, you're like, holy shit, this is literally one of the best comic book stories ever written. So, and
Yeah,
well, that sounds ridiculous.
agreed.
I'm not saying this is the best comic book story ever written. I'm just saying it's yeah. I believe.
I mean,
I think it's.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be good.
If you're not saying it, like, listen, man, I remember Todd McFarlane talking about that. He goes, I think I've got the best wife in the world. I hope other guys think the same thing. But that's what I think. And, you know, get on this. Like, this is what it's about. This is what I think. I think Spawn's the best comic book. I look at this, and if you're saying, like, I think that when NOSFERO drops, my statement to you guys is, and you correct me if I'm wrong, check me if I'm wrong, I think it's going to be the most beautiful illustrated comic book to come out of Comicsgate. I have to. That's the attitude I'm bringing to it. If it falls short of the glory, that's for you guys to say. But on my end, every page of this is a masterpiece. And when I look at that timeline, if you can't be 100% confident on that, then let me be your hype man. You know, let me be your little, like in the Key and Peele skit. If you have to put me down, Steinbeck style, it happens. But man, I'm all in on it. And yeah, man, like, we're gonna do more of this stuff. But thank you for coming on, man, on such short notice to talk about this, because this campaign, I want to talk to you afterwards too. But this campaign is great. Oh, dude, you're welcome, man. It's a pleasure. I'll let you guys run over to Shane Davis's stream. I'm gonna play some closeout stuff, and stick around. I want to shoot the shit real quick. If you got time, you got a minute.
Okay.
All right, my friend.
Okay.
Thank
bye,
you guys
everyone.
so much. Yeah, for being here, and thank you, Camel. And yeah, we will see you guys soon. And I'm gonna play out the members trailer so you guys can see all of your names here who have backed this channel. Thank you guys. We love you. And back Boots and Heels. It's the shit. It's got more depth than I think anybody. Not NOSFERO. We don't need NOSFERO, but I love you, Stephen Rockwood. Thank you for putting that in chat. I'm like, I know you're gonna get Boots and Heels in there. There it is. I want to make this stuff happen, guys, because it's a great, great project, and I cannot wait to see this story unfold. But we're gonna get people to get it. So take care, guys, and stay gold.
Hard work, dedication, hard work, dedication.